Welcome back, everyone. This is Axum from Fire Emblems, and today I am here with a very special guest, Adam from FED. Adam, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Oh, special guest. Stop it. Oh, my. Hi, guys. Adam here with FED. How you doing? Living the dream here on the Fire Emblems YouTube channel. Excited to be here.
Thank you so much for coming in. Adam's very known for doing a bunch of really cool discussions and content. I'm going to put the link to his videos down below. Please go ahead, leave a like and a subscribe for him as well. And today we're bringing you a video about avatars and our ranking of the avatars in the series.
This is a hot topic. People talk about it all the time, which avatars are best, which ones are worst. I'm excited to talk about it. This isn't something I've ever done on my channel, so this will be fun.
So basically, this avatar ranking that we're developing here is kind of regarding three major aspects of it. I am thinking of it more from a combination of performance, the plot relevancy, and the integration of the character within the stories being told in these Fire Emblem entries.
I think that's a fair approach. Could go the route of like only story or only combat, but I think that doesn't paint the full picture. So
at number 8, we have from the Fire Emblem Heroes series, Kiran the Summoner.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't play heroes. This is the guy with the he has like a gun that summons people, right? That's like his whole thing.
Yes, that is his whole thing. He's basically you, right? Because every avatar is some version of you, but this one is like the you that's like immersed in the Fire Emblem Heroes world, and you're not missing much in terms of story, if I gotta be honest.
Wait, so like you actually get teleported? It's like as if you got teleported into Fire Emblem Heroes. That's like the idea.
He's you. He's just you. Anna summoned you with your gun into that world, and now you summon other heroes.
Wow. So summoning an American to bring his gun to save the world. Awesome.
I'm sorry. It was really good. Every time that the summoner is involved in something, he's always the center of every single plot, even though there's no reason for him to be the center of any plot at all. I'm going to say this guy is pretty much just a simulator for the person that's playing the game. He doesn't talk. He has no personality. He's just there as an observer, but somehow he's the most important person on the planet.
Number 7, we have Corrin from Fire Emblem Fates. Often stated as the number one problem with Fire Emblem Fates as far as the story goes. And is the main reason why they say Fire Emblem Fates, especially Conquest, is the perfect Fire Emblem game if you press the start button at just the right times. Corrin is a disaster. Story, impact, and plot goes. They are basically Dragon Jesus, and everyone treats him as such. And it's in a way that just doesn't, I don't know, it just kind of feels icky to me. I don't know about you.
I think Corrin is probably like the worst written character in Fates, which is ironic because like there are characters that have one-note traits there. He's a combination of a Mary or Gary Stu with insecurities that don't really make sense. If you're like going to be the dragon god that everybody worships and loves, then you might as well just be really good. He is at the same time inflexible, smart, but also insecure, divine, and there's just so much going on with him that I feel like he fails at everything he tries to accomplish.
Yeah, he also kills people without killing them, which is honestly very impressive, and I think that puts him above Kiran, if we're being honest.
I mean, he doesn't need guns, you know, like that's
he just needs a magical floating sword to appear in his hand.
Can we also like talk about how other characters just worship this guy for no reason? I know you brought that up, but it's really is the epitome of the problem in this series of avatar worship. There is nothing they can do wrong, like nothing.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at Awakening as kind of like the start of the downfall of like, you know, the avatar worshipping kind of stuff. But I felt like Robin was more of an actual person. I get why the Norian siblings love him and want him to be there, but like, why do the Hoshidan siblings care? Like, I feel like Takumi's line of thinking is more reasonable for a human being. But then it turns out he's actually just possessed because, of course, you can't hate Corrin unless you're possessed by some evil demon that makes you hate him. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense why. If we're going to mention combat, you can't ignore the fact that Corrin is top 5 units in his game. Incredibly versatile, incredibly good. From that perspective.
At number 6, we have Mark from Fire Emblem, the Blazing Blade.
The man, the myth himself.
So tell me what you like about Mark.
Okay, so if we were going purely on story impact and like character perspective type of video discussion, Mark would be my number 1. Mark has the absolute perfect amount of face time in the story to not affect it in an annoying way, and it lets characters breathe and be themselves, while also making you feel like you're a part of the game. But past Lin mode, you get a few instances here and there where like Hector, Eliwood, or Lin will look towards the screen, you know, break the fourth wall, look at the player, and we'll be all like, thanks for helping me. We can do this because you're here or whatever, which is fine. It's like 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. It's not a big deal. But what I think is really great is when you deploy the correct unit in a certain map, they'll have like a couple lines of dialogue where they look at the screen and they talk to Mark. And I think that's a simple thing. It gives characters a little more like screen time.
Now that you bring it up like that, I actually kind of exactly see what you mean. He is probably the best definition of a self-insert that doesn't affect the story enough, but still receives enough attention that he actually feels relevant.
He's a good stand-in for the player.
And I will agree that he's probably the best at that. Maybe Byleth is something similar to it, but like he is pretty much the best definition of that, because if he didn't exist, I feel like the plot would still continue. So he doesn't have much story impact, but he does, but it's because of him that you move forward, because of his tactics and whatnot. So
and that's the thing. In FE7, Mark is an option. If you start from Eliwood or Hector mode, you don't have to create an avatar. You can just not have Mark, and the story just goes on normally. Because let's be honest, if any of us regular human beings were in the Fire Emblem world, we would be Mark. We would just be on the side.
Oh yeah, I'd be doing Zapp brannigan tactics like all day long.
Knowing their weakness, I sent wave after wave of my own men at them.
Until they finally shut down.
Number 5 is Byleth. I personally think Byleth is a fairly good avatar for characters to bounce off of in outside of support. But yeah, what do you think?
My only problem with Byleth is that in IS's attempt to make it so that you felt like a self-avatar insert, they just gave him no character, and their solution to it was to tell you that his character was to have no character. A double negative. It was almost like, wait, you want me to feel like this guy, but this guy feels nothing, so I can't feel nothing. It kind of defeats the purpose of being the self-avatar insert if I can't even feel the emotions that guy is feeling.
Byleth's best ending, like for Byleth, the character, is Crimson Flower, where at the end they kill Rhea, and for some reason killing Rhea kills Sothis in Byleth's heart, and then his heart beats on its own for the first time. And that's when he smiles, right? Or he or she have like an actual like genuine human reaction. And I think that's a really powerful moment in the game, and it works really well. And also, you know, the only time Byleth ever cries is when Geralt dies, and that's also like kind of a powerful moment. I know everyone memes on the idea that, oh yeah, of course Dad had to die. It's a Fire Emblem game.
To be frank, they've been a little more inclusive. Now they kill off moms too, so it's like, you know, everybody, there's enough to go around for everybody. But at yeah, right. But at the same time, I 100% see where you're coming from, because he never shows emotion. When he does, it feels all that more like, oh, I should really feel this right now because this is intense. But for me personally, it felt like it was so spaced and so far in between. Like, I feel that he has no real connection with any of the other characters barring the main lords. Because like you said, the supports feel very limited to like a bunch of people talking to me and me answering like, yes, no, maybe so.
But the problem is, now that I'm thinking about it, none of those great moments are because of Byleth. It's because of Byleth reacting to another character's good moments, right? The first scene of the post-time skip when you see Dimitri for the first time, or see Claude for the first time. Claude and Dimitri carry those scenes, and Byleth just has like an actual decent reaction. Now,
on a side note though, as a combat unit, the guy is pretty much unfallible. Like, he's fantastic.
Yeah, Byleth is schnasty. Faith of White Magic Avoid plus 20 alone makes Byleth great.
Not only that, like, Veteran is fantastic support capability as well. It's like he's bonkers. Yeah, he's bonkers. The guy is the sword of the creator is really strong. 1-2 range on a weapon that's refreshable, along with a personal skill that does a ton of damage. Like, the guy is pretty much he's got it all.
Yeah, even if you're not going to refresh it, you repair it with Umbral Steel, which at a certain point in the game is not hard to come by.
Number 4, everyone's favorite from New Mystery of the Emblem, Kris. So Kris is an avatar that I've come to appreciate more as time has gone by, and I don't know if this is recency bias for me because I just played New Mystery of the Emblem again as an Iron Man. The biggest complaint I have about Kris is that he kind of suffers a little bit from the Byleth problem, where every support only has him and every action usually has him in the middle of it. I will agree that the beginning of the game, like the first 8 chapters, which are basically the prologue, are just heavy on him. So if you're initially introduced to this and the character is like sitting there, I'm like, oh my god, I'm just talking about this dude for 8 chapters. It can get pretty annoying pretty fast. But I think it's more of like an introduction thing. But after that, he kind of takes the sideline and Marth starts running the show, and I actually like him a lot in that regard. He feels like he's just Marth's like best friend knight, like somebody that would go to and really protect him at any point in time.
Yeah, you're right. The prologue paints him in a horrible light for Avatar worship. Initially, like you even have like Luke, who's like, whatever, you're not that cool. I'm gonna be the leader of the group, and then you beat the crap out of him, and he's like, never mind, you're the best person in the entire world because you beat me in the fight. The main problem is people think that he takes Marth's accomplishments away from him. As a combat unit, Kris is insane.
I do want to point out that I think insane is an understatement. Like, he is so strong compared to the other units you get. Like, maybe Pala holds a candle just because she flies, but then you could also make him fly. And the fact that you can control whatever he does or she does is absolutely bonkers. I cannot overstate how good Kris is. Like, a lot of the strategies in the game are basically just yeet Kris at stuff.
Yeah, Kris will always be the highest level in your army because you're the first unit you get, and get tons of experience in the prologue. Basically uncontested for the first promotion item besides Pala. Yeah, Kris is stupid good. Like the next one on this list, I don't know about this one, man. I want to hear what you think about Alear.
The reason why I think Alear is, even though there's a lot of Avatar worship to Alear is literally the god. Like, right, they worship this guy before you're even awake. They make it very clear. Everybody around here does pilgrimages to come visit you. It makes sense that a lot of people would be like, oh, my savior, my whatever. It makes sense that there would be worship. But Alear does one thing and partially this is because of the very beginning of the game, and I really like that he does this. They go like, what should we do to face off these horrible enemies? He's like, we should run, bro. And that stuck with me because I was like, wait a minute, this is a real character. Like, this is, yes, he's the god of the world, but at the same time, this is a person that just woke up and it's like, I'm immersed in this world and I just saw some zombies raise up. I don't want to fight. I want to get the hell out of here.
Normally, amnesia is a really annoying plot device, but I do like it a lot of times for Alear because of like a moment like that's one of the few moments in Fire Emblem that genuinely made me like chuckle a little bit, because that's how I would act in that situation.
Now, the thing that I really like about Alear though is that his relationship with Lumera is not very fleshed out, but you do actually get to flesh out your relationships with the other characters as you progress along the plot. He does make a couple of weird decisions, like for example, he gets punished and loses the rings for making bad choices. And that is a mess. And Marth even tells him. And he's like, no, I got this. And in his overconfidence, he actually gets punished. And I feel like there's a consequence for that. Maybe it's not so much him as it is the way the plot drives him.
Yeah, that's a big theme in just like storytelling. I feel like people like when characters get punished for making mistakes instead of just being like, oh well, and just moving on. It's a little heavy-handed, and you're like, obviously something bad's about to happen. I guess you don't know exactly what's going to happen, but Martha's all like, bro, like this is, like, don't go in there. That's Sombron, bro. You're not ready for this. The things I don't like about Alear are just bigger problems with Engage as a whole. I watched one support and decided to not watch anyone ever again. And in my defense, it's the Fram support was the first one and only one I ever watched.
Like, literally the worst one.
It's moments like that make me embarrassed to be a Fire Emblem fan and not want to tell people I play Fire Emblem.
As a unit himself, he is also bonkers. I usually rate him as the best character in the game only because he's available the entire time, has easy transition into support and combat roles, and later on at the end of the game, Engage Plus is so strong.
At number 2, we have Robin from Fire Emblem Awakening. He probably gets Starbucks on the way home or on the way to school, and he just wants to like be around people a little bit. I don't know. He's just kind of there as far as personality goes, but then he's like shoved into the forefront of the story. It's kind of interesting that way. All of what I'm really saying is Robin's a bland person. He
is pretty bland. I'll give you that. I feel like he has the amnesia problem. I don't remember anything at all. Like not even a glimpse of my past. Nothing.
Is his explained?
Yes.
Is Robin's explained? I know, Alear's is like, I took a really long nap and I don't remember anything.
The reason why I kind of enjoyed is because of that. Like, the payoff that Robin is actually the villain is not a bad one. In his attempt to erase Lucina's attempt to stop her future, Rima wound up destroying himself. He was the product of his own hubris in my regard.
Oh wait, and that's why Robin has premonition stuff.
Yes,
having like weird little memories of what Grima did, or Robin as Grima, essentially in the future past.
Yes, in the future past.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
in the future past.
And the sacrifices that he has to make amongst the story are also pretty intense, because you either die and save all of mankind, or you don't die, and this may happen again in the future. Robin is basically like, no, I'll die. Like I'll check out. It's cool.
Gameplay wise, Robin is a god. Yeah, he's probably the best unit in the series.
I will agree with that. I think Robin is the strongest unit in the series, hands down. Well, not so much him, right? It's him and Crom together, because you gotta have those bonds, gotta be.
My bonds give me strength,
Yes, and they never break. And in every episode of Fire Emblem Heroes, we have to have something about Robin's bonds with Crom. Like, it just has to be there. The only reason I kind of like Robin is because he's his own person in the story, and albeit he's an avatar of you, his tactics are somewhat presented in a way that it's like, oh, this guy actually, like, he's gonna burn half the fleet and like make a sacrifice to actually achieve a success, which is pretty good. So it's like, oh, it feels like a real thing that a character would do, but not as good as our number one pick. Not as good as our number one pick, which is gonna be Shez from Fire Emblem Warriors. When you take a game and you don't make a spin-off about the first Adresian Emperor and finally give us Seth and like Flame in dragon form, and you take the cop-out route and just rehash another story of Fire Emblem Three Houses, that's what you get in Three Hopes. But the good part of it is that you actually get Shez, who is probably one of the best avatars in the series. But he has a personality that actually syncs with what he is. There's no avatar worship around this guy. People call him out all the time. He doesn't even have any powers that really make sense. People are dubious of him the entire time. They're always like, but why would you want to be here? Like, you're a mercenary, so can I just buy you out? Want to make money and do my thing. And it's like the first time I actually felt that an avatar was added into it in such a way that it didn't give me any reason to worship them. They were just another person in this war. And that's why I really like him in terms of that.
Yeah, Shez is the least self-insert that a self-insert has ever been. He/she is their very own character. Full disclosure, I've played one route because I don't like the Warrior games very much. But of the route that I played, which was Azure Gleam is what it's called, I think, Shez, I feel like gets into the good graces of Dimitri and like enters into like, the upper echelon of the Knights of Fargus in like a semi-realistic fashion. He wasn't just handed, you seem like you could be a good teacher. Why don't you come teach the most important people and next leaders of the countries?
Yeah, there was none of that. It was more of like, you got this by merit, and even then, I'm not really promoting you to like Supreme General. As the plot progressed, like, you became more and more attached to the story and more and more involved. Like, it was an organic progression as opposed to, oh, this guy is God. He does have some specialness, of course, with the whole power of the Agarthans and things going on there, but it never quite felt like he was like a Mary Sue or Mary Stu. As a matter of fact, he gets bodied multiple times by Byleth, like multiple times.
Oh, I kind of love that. Byleth shows up and you just like can't do anything. I think that's kind of awesome.
I also think it's so cool that when you finally get into like the second awakened state or whatever, and you start winning, then like Byleth enters their awakened state, and then they just beat you right back, and you're like, God damn it! I can't even beat him when I'm a Super Saiyan.
I don't have anything to say about combat. Is Shez good?
Pretty much the best character in the game.
All right, cool.
First of all, they're the easiest to achieve certain rankings with because they're always there, and in New Game Plus, you can keep on building up their stats and all this stuff over and over again. A combination of skills that they have an effective against everything skill, which is super strong, and they have access to a lot of skills that are just really, really powerful. Their personal class is really strong. They're fast. They can teleport across the map. They can do pretty much everything in that game. So yeah, they're pretty much the best unit in that game too.
So Shez at number 1. I don't have any arguments. It's cool.
Cool.
He's purple. I like purple.
All right, guys. I know that Shez in number 1 came up as a huge surprise, given that it's almost a spin-off game of the Fire Emblem series, but these are all the avatars tied to Fire Emblem itself. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Adam, thank you so much for participating here today.
Of course. I'm super happy to be here. And again, if you made it to the end of this video, you probably enjoyed what you listened to. But why don't you just like the video and subscribe to the channel? I don't think that's too much to ask.
Also, like and subscribe Adam's channel as well, FED, and know that there is also going to be a sister piece to this video that we did today, uploaded on his channel.
It's there right now. If you're watching this video, it's on my channel right now. Click that link, go watch that video. It's going to be awesome. We're going to discuss our favorite lords in the series, so a good companion piece to this Avatar discussion.
And thank you guys so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.